Hi. Before I read you this letter, I want to tell you what it is. These are not scripted episodes. These letters are inspired by real seasons of my life. Seasons I wrote about in my journals. Seasons I couldn't talk about out loud at the time. I was in the middle of a relationship that was running me to the ground. I spent years in therapy trying to find language for what I was living. These journals hold entries written at 2 a.m. when prayer felt impossible and writing was all I had left. In the 6 years I was quiet, you wonder? That's where I was, in those pages. The first letter is for the woman who's mourning what could have been. Not the person, not the dream, the version of your life you built in your heart that God never showed up for the way you planned. I know that place. I lived there longer than I should have, multiple times in fact. This letter was written for me before I knew it was for you. So if you're ready, let's go. Welcome back to Real with Melanie. This is a safe space, a faith-filled space, but most of all, it's a real space. Today, we're kicking off a brand new segment on the podcast called An Open Letter To. Letters straight from my heart to the woman who's struggling to let go, to the girls who's hanging on by hope, and to the version of me that I used to be. Today's letter is very personal. It's messy. It's the one I needed someone to read to me when I couldn't move on. This is an open letter to the woman who needs to mourn what could have been. Dear you, to the one who doesn't give up easily. You've held longer than most people would have. You've prayed, you've fasted, you cried in secret and smiled in public. Because deep down, you believed it could still work. That the story could shift. That maybe, just maybe, God would come through your way. You just didn't just love this person. You loved the possibility. You loved the family you thought you could build. You loved the healing you envisioned. You loved the redemption arc you begged God for. But here you are, face to face with the truth you never wanted to say out loud. It's not going to happen. And maybe you haven't fully admitted that yet, but it's coming in waves. The birthdays you imagined, the holidays you hoped for, the family photos you saved in your heart but never took, the one day that quietly died. You've carried hope like a lifeline, but now that hope feels like haunting. And here's the part no one tells you. Letting go of a dream hurts worse than letting go of a person, because the person you can block. You can stop texting, you can remove from your photos and your feed. But the dream that lived in your spirit, it shows up in your prayers, in your journals, in the way you plan your future. And now you have to mourn what could have been. That is no small thing. That is sacred ground. That is heartache that can't be explained, only felt. I want you to know you're not crazy for feeling this way. You're not weak for grieving something that never happened. You're not foolish for having believed. You loved hard. And anyone who loves hard is going to grieve hard when the thing they built in their heart doesn't get to exist in real life. That's not a flaw in you. That's the cost of having a heart that still believes God can do something beautiful. Mourning doesn't mean failure. It means acceptance. It means you're fully telling the truth to your soul. You're finally saying, I can't keep carrying something that no longer has life in it. And listen, this doesn't mean God didn't hear your prayers. It doesn't mean he didn't care. It means his plan, although it's painful, is still better. It means he saw the full picture, and in his mercy, he allowed it to end. Yes, mercy. Even if it feels cruel now, even if you begged him to fix it, even if you fasted and waited and fought for it, God was never ignoring you. He was protecting you from settling, from self-destruction, from reopening wounds that never had time to heal, from staying in a place that was never built for your growth. I know that feels unfair, and I know it hurts. But here's something I had to learn the hard way, and it took me a long time and a lot of honest work to finally name it. What I thought was faith was often fear dressed up in hope. I wasn't trusting God with the outcome. I was managing it. controlling it, staying loyal to a fantasy because letting go felt like losing. And the longer I held on, the more damage I did to my own heart. I wrote about this in Kingdom Happily Ever After, in a lesson called Surrendering the Fantasy, Kingdom Over Control, because that's exactly what it is. Surrender, not giving up, not weakness, choosing to trust that God's plan is better than the story you wrote for yourself, even when it breaks your heart to close that book. Control is just another idol. It promises safety, but it delivers exhaustion. Only God can hold what is breaking without being broken himself. So I want to ask you something today. What if the fantasy is the very thing keeping you from freedom? What if the life you're grieving was never meant to be yours to begin with? Sit with that. It's a hard question. It was hard for me too. You have permission to grieve what you thought would happen. You have permission to cry over a future that died before it started. You have permission to let go of the version of your life that was never meant to be. You have permission to mourn people, places, and promises that aren't yours to carry anymore. You don't give up easily, and that's beautiful. But sometimes what looks like giving up is actually giving it to God. Not in theory, not in a pretty journal entry, for real and for the last time. Because what if your healing is being delayed because you're holding on to what could have been? What if your next season is being held hostage by loyalty to a version of your life that God never promised? Letting go doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. And I want to say that again. Letting go does not make you weak. It makes you brave. It makes you honest, and it makes you free. And freedom, it's going to feel foreign at first. It's going to feel empty, quiet, still. But that stillness, that silence, that's where God will meet you. He's not afraid of your pain. He's not disappointed in your process. He just wants your yes. Not your performance, not your pretending, just your yes. Yes to the tears. Yes to the space. Yes to the deeper healing. Yes to the future you never saw coming. So go ahead, mourn it, all of it. Cry until your chest aches. Write the letter. Say goodbye to the version of you who waited for someone to change. And say hello to the version of you who's finally ready to live. You're allowed to let go, and you're still worthy of love, joy, wholeness, and peace, even if the story didn't go as you planned. This chapter, the one where you release what never was, it's going to be the one that sets you free. And always remember, faith plus intentions equals transformation. With tear-filled truth, Melanie. If you're sitting in your car right now, or laying in bed, or walking through the store trying to hold it together, I want you to know I see you. God sees you, and He's not done with your story. You're not alone in this. Come find me on Instagram and send me a DM. Tell me one word that you're carrying right now. I want to walk this with you. And hear this before we close this episode. It is okay to start over. Starting over is not losing. It is the beginning. If you're ready to go deeper, Kingdom Happily Ever After was written from these exact seasons. Lesson 17 is called Surrendering the Fantasy, and that's a good start. Grab it at kingdomhappilyeverafter.com. The link is also in the show notes. I love you, and remember, new episodes will drop every Monday. I will see you next week.